Welcome. You are now watching KU Online Academic Forum in celebration of the 78th anniversary of Kasetsart University here in Bangkok, Thailand. I'm Matthew Downs. I will be your moderator today. The program today is entitled The Role of Universities in Addressing Critical Global Issues. And now I'd like to turn it over for a welcome to our Assistant Professor, Dr. Kampanat Tansupa, who is Vice President for International Affairs. So, Dr. Kampanat.
Thank you, Professor Matt. Honorable Speaker, distinguished guests, and all participants of this online forum. It is a great honor and privilege to welcome you all to Kasetsart University Online Academic Forum in celebration of 28th anniversary of Kasetsart University. We hope that half-day forums will promote meaningful conversation about significant concerns now facing society and step higher education should take. I know we are all committed to our primary responsibility, providing quality higher education training graduates, conducting sustainable high impact research, engaging with our communities. Currently, all sectors of our global society, including institutes of higher education, we witness and multitudes of critical issues. The greatest challenge for us is to figure out how to adapt and adopt new ways to achieve our primary goal in way that we will enable and benefit future generations. At the focal point of our discussions is the role of university in addressing critical global issues. This program has especially earmarked some of those issues today. We seek to concern on how to best align our mission and educational method to address concerns related to our health, cybersecurity, and environmental vulnerability allow us. Through this forum, Kasetsart University hope to facilitate productive discussion among our partner and participants. We will hear from prominent panel keynote speakers, including Dr. Melis Cooper, School of Business and Communications for University of Applied Science in Netherlands, Dr. Vivat Rojana Pitayakon, Executive Director, ASEAN University Network Health Promotion Network, Mahidol University, Thailand, Professor Ching Fu Chen, Chief of Global Affairs Office, Chen Si University, Taiwan, and Dr. Ken K. Oreo, Director Southeast Asian Region Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, Las Bañas, the Philippines. Apart from these keynotes, we also hope to engage all of you in learning and sharing our panel section. Three prominent speakers from different sectors will present their perspective on future global higher education. There are Professor Juan Martin Marioni, Head of Artificial Intelligence of AIT Initiative on Digital Economies. Mr. Bo Holmgreen, Founder and Executive Director, the School of Assistance Foundation, and Associate Professor Dr. Ladawan Phuongchit, Vice President for Academic Affairs, Kasetsart University. It is my honor to express my heartiest greeting and welcome to you all participants in Kasetsart University Online Academic Forum 2021. Thank you very much for joining us online. Of course, we hope to welcome you in person to our campus in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kampanat. And now I'd like to welcome our president, Dr. Jonrat Bachagranrat, to provide opening remarks in honor of the 78th anniversary.
Chancellors, Vice Chancellors, the presidents, directors from participating universities, and all participants from this online forum. สวัสดีครับ It's my privilege and great honor to welcome you to the KU Online Forum, Academic Forum in celebration of the 78th anniversary of Kasetsart University. This is our fourth forum hosted to commemorate the establishment of Kasetsart universities. This year forum is more special than our formal events in that it is the first time we are holding an event online. Normally, we are glad to welcome guests to our beautiful green campus, but due to the unprecedented pandemic crisis, we will meet now online and hope to greet you in person in the near future. For the past few years, we have used our forum to promote conversation on the direction of higher education while coping with the challenge of global change, such as technological evolution, social change, and progress toward the sustainable development goals, all of which are relevant to global development. This year, Kasetsart University is focusing on some of the most critical problems confronting people around the world, specifically issues related to the health, cyber crimes and cyber securities, environmental change and ecological imbalance, and food security problems. University must both adapt to new normal lifestyle and must consider how to produce graduates who can act effectively in this new uncertain future and the post-COVID-19 era. The year 2020 has been widely acknowledged as being miserable for was portion of humanity due to the devastating pandemics and due to other natural, socio-economics, and political disasters. As we enter year 2021, I hope this forum gives us all of an opportunities to reassess how we are going to respond to the many remaining challenges. Our discussion focus most intensively on what we, those of us involved in higher education, can do the health and healthcare sectors, taking the health problems confronting us. We now that we must increasingly depend on digital platforms and adopt to online lifestyle. Also, we need to learn how to better identify and protect ourselves who false information and devastating cyber crimes. Overall, we must provide leadership, research, and training that we help maintain the dedicated environmental balance within our fact-changing world. I am thank you to the renowned speakers from Thailand, international partners, related organization, and from our senior management team. Due to the forum, we will hear from four prominent panelists and keynote speakers who come to us from various parts of the globe. One, the School of Business and Communication, Fonte University of Applied Science of the Netherlands. The second, the Asian University Network Health Promotion Network, AUNHPN, Mahidol Universities, Thailand. The third, the Global Affairs Office, Yuan Shi Universities. I'm not sure I pronounce it correct. how to pronounce Yuanju University, Taiwan,
That's
and
correct.
the South, right?
Yes, that's correct. Very good.
Yuanju. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduates Study and Research in Agriculture, SEGA, who reach into many regions of Southeast Asia. During the panel discussion, we will hear from two respected leaders from the business and social sectors, artificial intelligence at SAI, and the scholars of Sustenance Foundation, who will present their perspective and experience on the future of global higher education. Our vice president from academic affairs is also going to take part of this session on behalf of our university and higher education sectors. Actually, she is my teacher. Sometimes he very strong. She is very strong. So don't serious if she's strong. We ask all of you to engage actively the sharing during our panel sessions. I trust that we learn today will enable us to all to think and act more clearly about the crisis that we all are facing. I also acknowledge and thank our organizing committee for their contributions to the success of this forum. All participants to take full advantage of this half-day forum, which I hope we will give you new insight next time soon. I hope the pandemic crisis is under control. I will again welcome all of you to our university and campus. Please come to Kasetsart University if you can come. We are welcome. I take pleasure to declaring the online KU Academic Forum in celebrating on the 78th anniversary of Kasetsart University officially open. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
Well, thank you, Dr. John Rock. We're aware that many of you are joining us from various parts of the world, in Europe, Asia, and so we're aware that there are very different time zones. Some of you are just getting up with your cup of coffee, and some of you are just finishing your lunch. We're going to proceed. Let me give you a little bit of a housekeeping. First off, to move things along, we're not going to read long bios. The biographies have been published in the forum brochure, which is sent to you electronically, and you should read the bios. There's a group of very, very impressive folks who we will hear from today. In terms of logistics, we'll start soon, like in 2 minutes, start with a plenary speech and then have 3 keynote addresses followed by a panel session. And we'll finish all the proceedings about 4 o'clock this afternoon, 1600 hours. We will have no breaks. So obviously you can come and go as you find a need to do so. So let's get going. I'm going to start off with the plenary speech entitled Critical Global Challenges Facing Various Generations. It is given by my dear friend, Dr. Maurice Kuipers, from the School of Business and Communication, Fontys University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. Dr. Maurice.
Hello, good morning from the Netherlands. It is now 7:18. You can hear me? Oh, wait.
Cannot hear you.
Can you hear me? Wait. I'm doing it differently. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We hear you, yes.
Good. Good morning. I put my ears out. Doesn't work. Yesterday it did work. So again, good morning. I will share my slides. Hope everybody can hear me. And thank you for the invitation, and thank you to be a part of this academic forum at the 78th birthday of Kasetsart University. I will now share my slides. Okay, let me see. I was first thinking, okay, what shall I tell about a plenary speech about what kind of topics? I have 3 parts in my presentation, and it's about sustainable international collaboration, stepping forward together, a very important part, and resilient curriculum development. So thinking in a different way about curriculum. And I am at the moment working for the Fontes University of Applied Sciences, head of international relation and research, and at the moment also president of the Belko Alliance, where Kasetsart and Shishan also part of that alliance. And let me see. There's the alliance, and also all the members are shown downstairs. Yeah, we are talking about disruptions in the world, an era of a lot of things happening, like we all know it, the COVID-19 pandemic, what is really disrupting all our activities, especially international education is in this way very, very disrupted. But beside that, we also have all kind of climate change, what is happening, what is a very important part of our problems, and also an unstable international environment where all kind of activities and problems are. And of course, this has a huge influence on education and also about international collaboration and the exchange of students to different parts of the world. And we have to cope that. We have to combine, to work together, because in my opinion, higher education should worldwide work together to face those difficult times and to proceed and to think in a different way. So leading change in a disruptive world, that's my idea how we should proceed. And this is from the UNESCO Director General Audrey Azoulay. Never before we have witnessed education disruption at this scale, and partnerships is the only way forward. The coalition is called for coordinated and innovative action to unlock solutions that will not only support learners and teachers now, but through the recovery process for longer term with principles of focus of inclusion and equity. Yes, partnerships. That is what I'm very focused on. That is where I write sometimes articles about sustainable collaborations in higher education. What about what is happening now? What is the effect of the disruptions like the COVID-19 pandemic? And in a survey of August 2020, yeah, they asked universities about the disruptions of the COVID-19 pandemic. And one of those things, what got out of the results is how did it affect your plans to study abroad for students? And yes, in August 2020, 61% of course, saying that it affects their plans to study abroad because they can't fly anymore. Then, of course, would you start an academic year when you know it is only a course online? And then you already see that there is a kind of decrease in the numbers of people who are going to do an international program. So from 61, we go to 45. And then if you were to start your study online until you were able to travel for face-to-face teaching, do you think this should be affect tuition fees. For some university, a very important part of that international mobility, because it is also in some way the revenues of the university to do to create education. And here you see that it will affect, and most students want to have that it would affect tuition fees. For 80% of the students think that the tuition fee should be lower. You should be discounted. So there is also a kind of perception with students that online is maybe the quality of online courses are, from our perspective, good, but students see it in a different way. Their perception of online is not the same as you have in your classroom. And that means we are still stuck in a certain way of thinking. Yes, education is you go to class, you go sit, you listen to your lecturer, and that way I get my knowledge. And the fact that online teaching is for most students new, they think it is not the same level as when I go into class. And of course, an experience part is of course also into this. How do you expect the coronavirus to affect the number of international students recruitments? And here you see that most people think it will decrease. Let me see, sorry. And this is the most nice, I think a very interesting, how do you expect teaching to take place when the next academic year begins? And if you see, this was from August 2020, and we are now in February 21, so we are now in that academic year. And here you see that most people, mostly online with some face-to-face, and just 8% thinking in August 2020 that online will be really present in the academic year we are now in. So that's a very interesting way to see that in our mindset, we still think we go back to the old way of teaching. And I'm convinced that the innovation of education is necessary to be and give variable, different ways of education. So this is a very interesting picture. This is a first car, motor-driven car in the world. This is from Ford. And you see it is a carriage. You just missed the horses, but for the rest, it is old school. It is the old way we see a vehicle. But there was an enormous innovation with the motor, the engine, but still we do it and build it into a carriage as it was like a carriage with horses in front of it. So in this way, we don't step away from the old thing in the beginning. So we have to think out of the box. Learning is an experience. Everything is just information from Albert Einstein. Yeah, of course, learning is an experience, and we have to see the period of students during our academic period is more learning of experience, and information is what we add to that. Stepping forward together. So it's the way to look, how can we together as institutions over the world and partnerships, how can we do that? And one of the things is written, you have to work together to support each other in bad times. That means sometimes in certain regions, it is difficult to have students inbound or outbound. That means as you're working together as an alliance, you have to, or as a group, you can help some institutions who are your real partners, who are friends. And that means you have to find and help them in a certain way to cope the problems they have in their region in the world. So I'm a very favor of alliances. That means you're working with a group of universities. Not bilateral is interesting, but I think in an alliance, consortium way of thinking, yeah, you get a certain added value of working together. You can cope all the problems easier than when you are alone doing in bilateral way. For example, this is one of the bulk alliances we are trying to, it's online blended and face-to-face. We try to create double degrees, triple degrees, bridge program, international model system. So together we try to make activities on curriculum basis, yeah, and also on research basis. You can join, you cannot join, doesn't matter. We create things for students. We are there to create activities for students or learning tracks for students. And that is one of the main things to do. Such an alliance works even in difficult times in different parts of the world. We can help universities in their educational process. This is maybe not the one, the triple degree, but I will skip that because it is one program, 4 countries and 3 bachelor degrees. This is one of the things in this time with all the distance, what we are now doing, the distance communication, collaboration is also difficult. We have to have Skype meeting, Zoom meeting to get connected. We can't fly anymore to each other to see and shake hands or to say hello. And we have to find that those collaborations are sustainable. And what my idea is that you can create a kind of connection by creating a kind of academic center where where somebody from one university is a kind of intermediary who is really on campus working with the different faculties to see what kind of activities can be done with the other university in the other other side of the world. So, for example, I take it here, Kasetsart Academic Center in Bangkok. Yeah, you create that you have always real contact, face-to-face. You can start up curriculum development. You can start up research. You can, because somebody from Francis is there, that means it is easier and more sustainable to create something between the 2 universities. But it can also be an alliance who is working in Bangkok or somewhere else in the world. So in this way, you create a kind of intermediary between the universities with real face-to-face. Because I believe that face-to-face is still one of the most important things. The next part I want to talk about is about curriculum development modules. Modules or short intensive courses, you can also call that. I think we should change our way of thinking in a linear way. We have a semester program of 12 weeks or 14 weeks, and every week 2 hours classes, and then we have 4 courses. We are now creating more and more 3-week intensive courses where students are only doing one specific program. So, example, artificial intelligence and analytics. My dear friend Juan Maglione will later on in the panel also talk about this his course. Further, co-creation with partner institution and or industry. So to find learning environments, hybrid learning environments, and of course to find new didactical approaches to be resilient in for disruptions in the world. So hybrid instruction model. How this looks is like, this is maybe not the best picture it is, but this is a 3-week module. with on a Monday on the 4th, they start with an introductions. We have some 3 times. They are really classes in the sense of the students are facing the teacher online. And in the second week, 2 times, and in the third week also. And then it is finished. And on the end, you doing your assessment, and that means the course is ended. That means students are working together constantly on the same topic for 3-week intensive. And that's a way what students very much like, and also teachers, because teachers can create in this module with all the requirements you have to do. The quality assurance was necessary, and also the outcomes of the course are the same as a normal course, but it is put into a 3-week module. Co-creation, what we have in the Netherlands, is a very important thing. Hybrid learning environment. We are working, and students are studying, and students are working and cooperating with startups, companies in and on location where the companies are. So students are not anymore, or sometimes they are, but most of the time they are not anymore on school. They are outside and working, and Fontes has also spots in this area where students, where it's a kind of school, but they are also in contact with startups, incubators, companies who are settled and based in this area. These are the old Philips buildings. They are now used for a startup scene and for education. And this is maybe the one who are you maybe interested in, and is maybe new, is the hybrid instruction model. What you have to try to create is a module that can be online, blended, face-to-face at the same moment. So it doesn't matter anymore if a student is on the other side of the world, or at Kasetsart in Bangkok, or he is just 1 week at Kasetsart in Bangkok. So you can create a program that has all the ability to address all kind of students you will have. So disruption will have no influence anymore. If students can't come, doesn't matter. We have it already online. When students want to come for a short period, no problem. You are welcome. If you want to stay the whole time, okay, you're welcome. Because the courses are in such a way designed that you can handle all 3-4 kinds of students. It sounds that it is not possible, but we have examples of those courses, and it really works. We are creating those modules as a project from Erasmus Strategic Partnership. So we got 450,000 euro for that, and it's about employability skills, the mismatch between education and the working field. What kind of skills is the working field missing from what is the students are when they go into the employability? And in this way, those 6 skills are mentioned as the skills students need to have nowadays. Taking initiative, self-leadership, solution-oriented thinking, social skills, media and information literacy, like, okay, what is fake news? What is not fake news? How do you handle that? Critical thinking. So all those skills to be a flexible global citizen or a global entrepreneur. And this is how a semester program looks like. You have 6 modules of 3 weeks running from, and this is August 20. That's an example, August 20 till December 21st. The good thing is that you can also exchange easily teachers, because a period of 3 weeks, it is easy to have international teachers coming in, or you can go for 3 weeks to another location to do your course of 3 weeks. So 3 weeks missing is easier to leave your own university than a whole semester. So normally we have guest lecturers who are coming for 1 week and do one class. Now you can say, okay, somebody from Kasetsart can come to the Netherlands and doing a 3-week course. And he stays 3 weeks and he's doing the course completely. And this is how it looks now. This is what we have. It's the Belco Exchange program. You see here upstairs the social skills, solution-oriented thinking, self-leadership, taking initiative. Those are the skills. And the personal development, we are focusing on integrity, ownership, focus, listening, public identity, and speaking. And it means module 1, there's a period. We have intercultural experience together with Bordeaux in France. Bordeaux in France has also a marketing. So my students can choose, or they go to Bordeaux, or they stay at home. And here too, they can stay at home. They can go to Bordeaux, they can go to Ottawa, Canada, they can go to Denmark, or an internship somewhere in the world. But all those courses are focusing on solution-oriented thinking. So content-wise may be different, but the skill we are focusing on is just solution-oriented thinking. And when a student has done all those courses, those 6, then he should develop, you should see the development of the personal development on those and also on those. So we can connect this way. So we are building with our partners modules in the world and disconnect us. That means students can choose and make their own learning route, online, blended, or face-to-face, doesn't matter. And create their own semester program. This gives flexibility. This is inspiring for teachers, inspiring for students. It is quality-based. You can use companies, and you can use each other's knowledge, and also the intercultural experience. Let me see. And this is the group what is doing that for already 5 or 6 years. But it's very typical. We are developing this already for 5, 6 years. And now in this period with the pandemic and with all the disruptions in the world, is really now a high topic. And I think a way to think in a different way about education and to design it in a different way. It doesn't mean that there's no leveraging or quality insurance is one of the main thing, of course, but you can do it in a different way. And I hope this will inspire some of you to think in a different way about education. And I hope this is a kind of start of today's forum. And I hope you did enjoy it and you have a lot of inspiring ideas about what can and what can't be done. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Maurice. Thank you so much for the details on. I know that this program has been launched with a fair amount of success in a very short period of time. We do have time for a couple questions if people have some questions.
Of course, please.
Yeah,
I'd love
I have a couple questions. Anybody just speak up or raise your hand.
Could it be possible to ask for kind of support, a copy of the presentation? Oh, no, that's
Oh, did you get a chat?
No,
Did you?
I was looking to the chat. Maybe somebody
Okay.
asked me.
All right. I was just going to suggest, the other thing you could do is chat individually with Dr. Maurice, and he's a very friendly, easygoing fellow. So I encourage you to contact him at any time. All right. So
Yeah,
I guess
please.
we'll go for it. Thank you so much, Dr. Maurice.
Yeah,
I
welcome.
miss you. Hope to see you sometime here soon.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. I would love to, but still in the lockdown and curfew.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
still.
yeah. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. All right,
Okay.
let's go forward. Now I'd like to introduce our first keynote of higher education and global health issues. This is Dr. Wiwat Rojana Pitayakon, who is Executive Director, ASEAN University Network Health Promotion Network at Mahidol University. Dr. Wiwat.
Okay, good afternoon. This is afternoon in Thailand. President Jongrat, Vice President Kambanat, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very great honor for me to be participating in this very important event, the 78th anniversary of Kasetsart University. It happened to this university happened to be established just a few years before my birthday. And the topic is, I think it's very crucial right now, not only in the university sector, but I think the current health issues affected all the sector in the societies. If if I was invited to deliver this topic last year or before last year, it probably not does not get I did not get much attention because people thought that this global health issue is just very far away from individual self outside the health sector, but the emergence and the pandemic of coronavirus 2019 epidemics has been proven that it is a very issue that very close to every person, every individual in the whole world. The topic for today for myself is higher education and global health issues. So there are three words linked with this topic. One is the role, and the second one is the global health issues. So the global health, and it may be a good idea to begin with the definition of global health. The term global health has been widely adopted just recently. Previously, people consider some issue about the health of the world by using the term international health or world health, but it just recently aware widely that the term global health is more appropriate, and there are three characteristics of this terminology. This term, it crossing the boundaries. That is number one, and it influenced by circumstance or experiences in other countries. And the third one, which is more important, is it best addressed by cooperative action and solution. And this is different from international health in the way that international health is more or less like a rich country supporting poor country, a developed country supporting developing country. That is the main issue of international health. But for global health, it means that whatever happened in one country far away, it can come back to affect our people in one way or others, like COVID-19 that happened, just emerged from one city in China in December 2019. But then it spread throughout the world, and now the number of people affected from this disease is still continue to increase day by day, passing the the 100 million people just a week ago. So, well, it's very clear that if we, if we can bring back our time and go back to Wuhan earlier, and every country help to control the disease in Wuhan, then the spreading of disease might have been stopped, and it means that the efforts for all countries in the world may be important to support, to assist, or to jointly work on the emerging of such health issues. And why we need to study global health? I think that there are 3-4 reasons that we should consider. The first one probably because there's no boundaries. The disease can pass from one country to others without the need to issue any passport. And it goes sometimes, most of the time it goes with the people, and sometimes it goes with some sort of commodities or food that pass through international trade activities, for example. And then the second bullet on this slide saying that it is very unfair for people who born in Japan and people who born in Sierra Leone. That for those who born in Japan, they stay until 83 years on average, and before they leave the world. But then for people born in Sierra Leone, they stay only 50 years. So it means that it's very unfair. How can we, help each other in the way that every people will stay healthy longer and longer in the global communities, and not looking at just the country boundaries or national boundaries. And then the bullet number 3 clearly explain that the economic development, poverty, blah, 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 it linked very closely with health. And the spreading pandemic of COVID-19 is a very good example. When it happened, all of the transportation, the airlines stopped working, or most of the companies have to shut down, and business have to collapse, and then many poor people, they have to spend all their savings, and then result in the more increasing poverty levels of the people around the world. And then that is very clear. And then the last bullet is that if country with good health, the development in the society in whatever areas will be much better than country with high prevalence or incidence of health problems. So the current health issues, the current global health issues, there are 3 groups of issues. Number 1 is the risk. Number 2 is the problems resulting from such risk. And number 3 is the opportunity to address the problems. And then some example of global initiatives that all countries should work together. For the global health risk, I think it's very clear that there are so many issues that cause increasing health problems around the world. The first one is the determinant of health, social determinants, poverty, education, gender, etc. And with a different magnitude of determinants in various countries has resulting in different level of health issues or health problems of those countries. And then risky lifestyles, smoking, drinking, driving, etc. And then also global warming, natural disaster, terrorism, political conflicts, and food safety, international trade. And then the last point is the emergence of infectious agent with pandemic potential. And in the past 30 years, we saw the spread of HIV/AIDS, SARS, influenza, MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, Ebola, and then just December 2019, less than 14 months, the widespread of COVID-19. And then those issues, those risks had resulted in the burdens in the health problems in various areas, including the increasing prevalence of or high level of NCD, non-communicable diseases, and increasing people with, aging people, and people look at the aging population like a burden to the society, which I fully disagree. Because I am also aging population, I think that I can help the world with my experience, etc. Looking at my children, my grandchildren, and raise them to be better citizens in the world, and that's our role. So we are not the burden, but we are the one that add the strength to the societies using our various many years of experiences. And then the bullet number 3 is high frequency of disaster. And we know very well the flooding and some even tsunamis that happen once in a while. Which has very high potential for spreading pandemically. And then increasing reproductive health problems, teen pregnancy, migration, malignancies. Of course, when people stay longer, then the chance of developing malignancy or cancers will increase. That for sure. And then increasing environmental health problems and mental health problems or mental health issues. And then this is just one example of how health problems emerge, and there are 4 boxes here in this photo, in this slide. And on the left side, that is the determinant of health: globalization, urbanization, population aging, and social determinants. And with that type of characteristic, it can result in some common risk factors like smoking, drinking, unhealthy diet, physical inactivities, air pollution, etc. And then those behavior or those factors bring to some unseen or undetectable risks like high blood pressure, some increasing level of some chemical agent in the body, but subsequently it develops disease, which is on the right box, or in the right box, like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and chronic respiratory disease, for example. And then the third issue is about opportunities. I show some bullets of how we are, having opportunities to deal with such global issues. The first bullet is the World Health Organization role and changes, the change of the roles. Initially, when the World Health Organization was first established, it was viewed as a donor, but now it's not. It's no longer looked at as a donor, but it's like a agency supporting, strengthening the global response in the health area. And you probably know very well, the very first activities of the new president of United States of America, Joe Biden, when he was in his office and starting his first job, it was to re-entry the USA into the WHO, the member of the World Organizations, because the previous presidents pulled USA out of the WHO, and as a result, USA became the highest prevalent country of COVID-19 in the world, and that is indirectly proven that the international health or global health is very, very important to protect people in each country. And there are many other points which I'm going to pass to my next slide, showing the initiatives that happen as a result of those global leaders. The number one, the first bullet, is the Sustainable Development Goals. Professor Jongrak has already mentioned this word in his opening speech, and it is very crucial that in order to develop the whole world, I think the 17 areas listed in the SDGs are important direction or targets that our country should address, and not addressing alone, but addressing all together, in a coordinated way. And the lower bullets, there's many initiatives. I would like to draw attention to the fifth one, which is the universal health coverage. And this is a very important health initiatives that should be developed in all countries in the world to ensure that people have access to health services, no matter what economic status of that individual is. And now USC or Universal Health Coverage is already included in the SDG, and I will show you in the next in the subsequent slides. And this one is the 17 areas of SDGs, which have been agreed by all the leaders in all countries around the world during one meeting in 2015 in the United Nations Assemblies. And you can see that many areas are very, all areas are very crucial, like the poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, water sanitation, etc. So all these 17 areas are very crucial. And so if we are going to work on the development issues, then each areas need to be successful, need to be achieved in terms of target that's set in each individual areas. Like the area number 3, good health. And I will show some detail of this 17 area in the next slide, which show that this is the description of each logo that happened in the last slide. It has 17 areas: poverty, hunger, healthy lifestyle, education, gender equality, water sanitation, energy, productive employment, sustainable industrialization, etc. There are so many areas that you can get this information very easily from the United Nations internet site. And then the area number 3 is exactly the global health issues. And there's, in this slide, the detail of this goal 3 of the SDG. And there are 9 areas, 3.1 to 3.9, plus 4 approaches. It's like 3A, 3B, 3C, and 3D. And you can see that each areas, like maternal mortality, newborn and child health, and communicable diseases, and then the non-communicable diseases or NCD, substance abuse, alcohol, traffic accidents, reproductive health, universal health coverage, and then the chemical safeties, for example. These are 9 areas of global health issues, and then followed by 4 different approaches or mechanisms. One is the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, the vaccine and medicine development, healthcare financing, health workforce, and then early warning and rapid response to the health threats. I'm going to pass this slide very quickly, that even though SDG 3 is addressing health, but all other SDGs are also supporting the health development. And we call all other activities or other areas like social determinant of health, which include in this slide. The number 3 is the health issues, and then the rest are the ones that have to be improved in order to reduce health issues, like poverty, like hunger, education, etc. And what are the key contributing factors to achieve the health-related SDGs? There are 4 areas. One is health system strengthening. Number two is national policy strategies, effective strategies. And the third one is the collaboration. And lastly, finally, is the successful health promotion program. Because upon the analysis, we found that there will be very difficult for any country to be successful in achieving the SDG number 3 without promoting health. Let's take a look at a very easy example of number 3.6, road traffic accidents. The good health development is whenever people get the accidents, then they will be treated properly, even though they have amputation, but they still survive, etc., etc. But for the non-health side of traffic accident, like the transportation ministries, some sort of local government authorities to control the behavior of driving behaviors that lead to safety of the people, then the achievement of the SDG will be clearly seen. It means that cannot be successful by people in the health field, but it be successful by people from other ministries. And so this is a very good example leading to the topic that I'm going to present today in my my second half, which is about the role of university in this global health issue. Actually, conventional roles of university, there are three areas: teaching, service, and research. And those teaching, like we are building what we call change agent in the society, equip them with knowledge, and for them to be survive properly and actively, and have earn money from the education material or contents that they achieve or they study. Like myself, I'm a medical doctor, mean that I learn from a medical school. They teach me to become a doctor. And for the term service, it means that like Kasetsart University also provides service in detecting chemical contents in agricultural products. And this can be one service linked with global health to reduce the health threat in the society. And then research. This is quite clear that the university personnel, routine activities, one of their routine activities is to conduct research for the advancement of the technical areas under their specialties. And then the last one is to promote, all this together to promote health literacy. Health literacy means people aware of the risk and understand how can adapt themselves to be healthy. A few years ago, I had a chance to meet a group of university professors from Japan. And I asked them, professors, please advise me, what were activities in your Ministry of Health to make people live longer? Because Japan happened to be the country with longest health expectancy in the world. And after a few seconds, they had some individual personal discussion among them. And then their reply was very fantastic. They said that people in Japan, they live longer, not because of Ministry of Health, but it was because of Ministry of Education. They just produce good experts in different areas, and those experts live longer. Mean that they not only educate students on the technicality of those specialties like people engineering, like law expert, but they also teach how can they live longer, how can they stay in good health. So university then mean that the role of university is very clear with this type of description or explanation by our Japanese colleague. So in my opinion, the most important role of university is to support national and global movement for health promotion, make people stay healthy. And in detail, the role of university in health promotion can be comprised of 6 areas. One is teaching in health promotion. It is not to say that, okay, our university have no faculty of medicine, no faculty of health. So this is not our content in our teaching. That is wrong, because as answered by our Japanese professor, even those engineers, they live longer because they were taught health promotion during their study in schools. Number 2 is health promotion services. Number 3, healthy university workplace program. Number 4 is capacity building of workforce to become health promoters. And we teach our students to be leader in the society to promote health in their societies. And number 5, health promotion research. And then number 6, to advocate healthy public policy. When professors stand up in the public, talk with universities, talk with the media, and blame the government on not doing, still promoting the use of toxic chemical in agricultural products, then I think that message will be very strong because it comes from universities. And this is just one example, contribution of medical schools to develop national health policy. And this is just one example from Faculty of Medicine, Ramathibodi Hospital, the place where I work, and I just complete my work only a few months ago. That is the universal health coverage. And this was developed by one graduate from Ramathibodi Hospital and become global, a national, a very important national program. And then hospital accreditations, and number 1 and number 2 is are the product of just my friends who study together in Ramathibodi Hospital. And number 3, rural health service development, and very many famous medical leaders graduated from Ramathibodi that have actively engaged in the area of rural development in the past 20, 30 years. In international health policy development, national response against threats like HIV/AIDS, injuries, pandemic, communicable diseases, etc. And so these are many areas that contributed by just one medical school. So it can be very clear that the role of medical school, the role of university are very crucial to promote health. And I'm going to present my last point. It's about ASEAN University Network products. One product is we call ASEAN University Policies on Health Promotion, which I think our team used the name of the term of Healthy University Framework. It is a document. It produced by AUN. AUN is a network of 30 members university in ASEAN countries, and the list is shown here. Healthy University Framework developed in 2017 by the activities jointly by the efforts by those 30 member university of the AUN. And the end product is this book. It's called Healthy University Framework. If you type this AUN Healthy University Framework in the Google, it will come out at the first what we call first items in the AUN search. So in the Google search, and in this book, it contains in one chapter it demonstrates the 22 areas that should be promoted for health promotion in university. I'm going to say that it's not health related faculties. It means every university have to deal with or should have to deal with these 22 areas. One on the left side, the system infrastructure, like the policy of non-smoking, policy of non-drinking, and policy, the various policy that should be issued by the president of the university, and then many other area on the left side. including health promotion curriculum, health promotion research, and then budget for health promotion. But on the left side, on the right side, it had two areas. One we call zero tolerance. We don't want to see at all in university. It's smoking, alcohol drinking, drug use, gambling, violence, road safety violation. And then the lower part is the health promotion areas. That is health literacy, mental well-being, social interaction, physical activities, active mobility, healthy diet, safe sex behavior, and work-life balance. So these 22 areas are very essential, and I would like to request Professor Chongrak, Professor Kamanat to consider this and use this healthy unity framework to be a frame for each faculty to protect their staff, to protect their students. And just an example, in April 2018, the president of Maidon University announced that this black book had to be applied in all faculties of the university. And these 5 areas, these 22 areas have to be promoted. And also all the members of AUN university already agree, including many other universities who apply to be what we call associate member of the AUN. And we are now trying in the process of scaling up this healthy university framework to cover all universities in Asia and around the world. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wiwat. The issues of challenging universities to take a more dominant role in promoting global health, I think, is a terribly, terribly important message for all of us. I think one of the issues confronting us these days also is how to deal with misinformation and how to combat the misinformation that's out there. Are there questions? We have time for questions. Please have some questions for Dr. Wiwat.
Good afternoon. My name is Grimor, and I'm a student here at Kasetsart University. And I just had a comment actually about the promotion of health and so on. And so there are some things, of course, that I think are very valid. However, I think personally that in terms of health promotion for the country, there are many things that the modern world is overlooking. And for example, many studies about this COVID have been showing that something as simple as exposure to the sun, vitamin D, which we are getting less and less simply because we are inside. We're no longer like before outside. Something so simple can actually prevent the cold, the flu, and studies have shown that people who have higher levels of vitamin D have shorter symptom days, of when they're infected with COVID. So my point is that sometimes the answer to health is a bit more simpler than we might think if we start to look back at how humans were designed. So that was just a bit of a comment I had when they mentioned longevity, in Japan. So this thought came to mind.
For me, I also thank you very much for Dr. Wiwat for give us the recommendation concerning Kasetsart University in terms of health as well. On behalf of Kasetsart University, we also consideration for this issue, and we will take responsibility to bring your idea and make it happen as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
May I respond?
Yes, please.
Okay. The first one I would respond to Mr. Klima, that look at the black book. You know, I urge all of you to go to Google and type healthy university framework. You will get this black book. And then in the Black Book, particularly on the issue that you are raising, that there is one topic on the right side of the table, which is the health literacies. And then promoting health literacy can be done by anyone. But if it performed by universities, then people will listen. And now we in the internet era, we receive almost every day about some sort of fake news or whatever. But if it comes from university, it's clear, and it the state of the art mostly from university. So I urge that everyone in the university system should be the key actors, should be speakers for the health issue. And then whenever you raise this, please use some sort of guideline from the World Health Organization or the national authority like Ministry of Public Health in order to get the correct information. And you can see that during the COVID-19 the pandemic, Thailand has adapted very quickly by having just one person as the speaker of the government. So the number of cases is already confirmed and clear. And so you can get only the single information, and this is a trustful sort of information. And for Professor Gamanath, I would like to thank for your commitment in promoting health. And this is, I think, the role of university to protect staff and students. And even after graduation, students can be the leader in the society to make the society more happy or more healthy. And the Black Book also show the list of areas that university can do. Then I would like to request that probably Kasetsart University can join the AUN activities, because the AUN system, ASEAN University Network, also provide opportunity for Kasetsart to be associate members. And then whenever we have activities on health promotion, which is we regularly organize, then we can work together to promote health, not only in Kasetsart, but Kasetsart can be a focal point to expand this healthy university concept to other universities as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think we will proceed now to our second keynote address, which is entitled Educating Global Citizens About Cybercrime and Cybersecurity Challenges. The speaker is Professor Dr. Ching-Pu Chen, who is Chief of the Global Affairs Office at Yuanzhi University in Taipei. Taiwan, sorry. Dr. Ching-Pu Chen, please.
Okay, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. I am very honored to share with you my view. Give me a minute. Okay. It's been a great honor for me to share with you some of my points on educating global citizens about cybercrime and the cybersecurity challenges. At the KU Online Academic Forum in celebration of the 78th anniversary of Kasetsart University. It's been a great honor for me. As I mentioned, this is Ching-Pu Chen. I'm the Chief Global Officer at the Yuanzhi University from Taiwan. Yuanzhi University was founded by the Firestone Group, which is a big conglomerate of over 250 companies, including telecommunication company. That's why we put a great emphasis on cybersecurity. And in the following, I would like to share some informational statistics about the challenges we are facing in this cybercrime or cybersecurity arena, and how are we going to deal with those challenges, and what university can play a role in these areas. So let's start it. Of course, that we face a variety of threats in cybersecurity arena, including internal shift, physical destruction, illegal intrusion, hacking, and all those threats has posed a great risk in our daily life in any organization, that including illegal access to internal data, denial of service or distributed denial of service, DOS, DDoS, or user fraud, template with your web page that give a wrong misinformation to a consumer, or leakage of personal data, including consumers' privacy data, or stolen classified information, which definitely will bring a lot of damage to a business operation, computer theft, or cyberfluence, which is cyber influence, which I think is recently we see a lot of organizations that use cyber activities to affect people's perception, opinion, and their decision. We can see, for example, in the 2016 United States presidential election, we see the influence from Russia to influence the presidential election. So those are the many areas that will affect our life in all different kinds of scales. And let's look at some, and how does that affect our lives? For example, those kind of cybercrime that can compromise and destruction of critical infrastructure, that including maybe our water supply, our electrical power, or even our public transportation. Certainly, they will definitely a great impact on our daily life. And also, there may be some organization or country that might conduct a cyber warfare to paralyze a national internet operation, that or they can use advanced persistent threat on government, defense, or commercial secret. They can steal those secrets from government or commercial. And in internet shifts, they can steal private information. They can definitely affect. Nowadays, we all use online shopping, e-commerce, or our financial operation. In short, that all our activity or society activities based on trust. And with this kind of cybercrime, that definitely discredit our trust value chain. And this will make all those activity become, the chain will be broken, and they will definitely affect our life. So we are facing many threats from those. For example, did you know that this year, a cyber attack will occur in every 11 seconds? Just like that. In this time, we have a cyber attack incident. And if we look at all those kind of cyber crime that we all use Office file, for example, I'm using a PowerPoint, and all the malicious email that use Office file to carry all this kind of malicious file to your computer, to everywhere. And 65% of using phishing as a primary infection vector. And you know that it's average about 17,700 is lost every minute due to phishing attack. So those are many areas that has been facing a challenge we are facing. And this year, particularly, we all know we are all suffer the COVID-19. And this definitely changed our life in many different dimensions. One is the remote worker. Many people work from home. And for example, in the United States, almost half of the people that work from home. And those become a major target for cybercrime, because those people, they have a less security measure or mechanism at home than in company. And that make it more easy for them to conduct this cybercrime. Cloud, nowadays we store many data and operation in cloud, and certainly cloud breaching will also increase. And due to COVID-19, many countries like in Taiwan, we use contact tracing apps to track those people who their movement, and those kind of private information. Certainly, if government did not install a good protection, certainly those become a major source information that can be leaked or used by those cybercrime. And nowadays, we are also entering the 5G telecommunication. And with this kind of increasing bandwidth of connected device, so many IoT devices will become more vulnerable to cyber attack. And AI is also an emerging area that many cybercrime, they can always use AI algorithm, and even sometimes they use supercomputer to conduct their attack on many organizations. And so those are the new emerging threats we should watch out this year and maybe in a couple years to follow. And so what is the cost? The average cost of data breach is $3.86 million. And as we mentioned, the remote work caused the average cost of a breach to increase by $137,000. And if we come down to individual cost, the average cost per loss of stolen record is $146 per individuals. So those are very substantial cost to everybody. If we put them together, according to cybersecurity ventures, let's estimate this year the global cybercrime damage will cost $6 trillion this year. It is about 190,000 a second. Like this, 190,000 is lost. And all those kind of costs, 86% of the breaches are financially motivated. That's right. You can see this kind of economic scale. Many cybercrime, they want to get a benefit from this. And $6 trillion, what kind of value is that? It's estimated by 2025, it will increase from 6 trillion to 10.5 trillion US dollars. This is make the cybercrime become the third largest economic entity in the world, right after United States, which is their annual GDP is about 21 trillion US dollars, China 15 trillion US dollars, and then cybercrime. And after that, you will Japan, it's 5 trillion US dollars. So this is a huge market for them. And in defense of this kind of threat and challenge, what kind of defense or prevention can we devote it to? If we look at the cybersecurity spending globally, the market it's about in 3.5 billion US dollar in 2004, and 2017 it increased 35 times to 120 billion US dollars, and it is projected from 2017 to 2021 this year. Over these 5 years, the cybersecurity market will cumulatively devoted $1 trillion over this 5-year period. Even that is still small compared to the cybercrime market. So in terms of cybersecurity defense, what kind of how can we defend against that? Certainly, on the outer level, there is we can look at the technology, and we can develop all kinds of tools to protect and defend against cybercrime. And second level will be the system, the process or the control mechanism we develop to safeguard ourselves. And after that, certainly organizational design, organizational culture, those kind of affect people's daily activities. And certainly after that will be our top management. Is the cybersecurity on the top priority of our top management. And top management, what kind of, how can they design our organization, our system, our process, and what kind of tools they use, certainly is also a major factors. However, I think the core will be the people in every level of the organizations. So people are core to the cybersecurity. According to Verizon, 34% of data breaches involve internal actors. And 95% of cybersecurity breaches are caused by human error, 95%. And it is estimated that if we can increase cyber hygiene, if everyone can do the cyber hygiene correctly, 80% of the problem can be solved. So this shows that rather than chasing the latest technology, the training the people to have a right cyber hygiene is the most effective tool that we can use. And so what the university what kind of role can they play? It is estimated by Berenice, by this year, there will be 4 million unfilled jobs in cybersecurity globally. And as an education institution, certainly we should try to fill this market, not just in quantity, but also in quality, to defend our all kind of activity operations. And in university, certainly we deal with research and development. So we should try to devote more resources into technical knowledge, skill, and tools. And we should also look into the robust system control and design in organization. And this is not a one-man job, or we should have a network of experts working together to look into this problem. In addition, I think the USR, which is University Social Responsibility, universities should not just look at oneself or within the university. We should try to help to raise public awareness of these issues. We should try to cooperate not with industry and also internationally to address these issues. And we should try to become a role model in educating global citizens. And so internally, that of course the education system or curriculum, we not only have a specific curriculum to train future experts in this area. In general, we should raise the cybersecurity awareness and hygiene, and also educate them with cybersecurity literacy. That's why at Yuanzhi we have all the, no matter which department, program language will be a 4 credit necessary required course for every student from Yuanzhi University. In the core, I believe, is the ethics, which is something I like to bring up. Clearly, university cannot just train the students with cyber literacy, tell them how to use the internet wisely and safely. It's not enough. The cyber world is full of opportunities. It can be very beneficial, bring our life to a better life. It can also be harmful, not in itself, but in how cyber activities utilized. And so it's the people behind laws. It's always the good against evil. It's always the attack and defense. And every people behind the computer, you can choose to join the cybercrime, or you can choose to join the cybersecurity. Of course, we mentioned the cybercrime, the annual economic scale is about $6 trillion. In terms of cybersecurity, we only spend $1 trillion over 5 years, which is 1/30 of the cybercrime. However, if we can educate our people such that they all have a ethical, doing the right thing with ethical value, moral value, then we hope that more people will join the right side instead of going to a wrong side. This, I think, will be more effective in terms of fighting the future challenge that we are all facing. So that I think this is an area that globally we should emphasize the ethical education to make people, all the experts, to make the right judgment and to join the right side to fighting the cybercrime. And so those are some of the ideas I'd like to share with you. And I hope you welcome any comment you have. And at the end, I hope you all have a very healthy and happy life wherever you are. And welcome to Taiwan and Yuanzi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. I'd like to open the floor to questions or comments, please. Yes, floor questions or comments, please. Okay, again, we can share on chat or by contacting speakers directly. Any additional comments or questions? Then we'll go forward then. Right. So thank you so much, Professor, for your comments about cybercrime, and the statistics are startling. This is not good news, I must say. So I hope that going forward, the universities and educators and technology folk can help us to protect ourselves from these outside influences. Thank you so much. Going forward, the third keynote speaker is going to address the role of universities in tackling environmental changes, ecological imbalance, and food security problems. The presentation will be given by Dr. Glenn B. Gregorio. He is the director of the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, which we call CIRCA. So Dr. Glenn, are you here and ready to go?
Yes.
Great.
Again, pleasant day to all. First and foremost, I would like to greet Dr. Chongrak Wacharidrat, the president of Kasetsart University, officials of the Kasetsart University, distinguished guests, alumni, students, and to all participants. And I want also especially greet Associate Professor Dr. Suket Nakasantien, the country representative of Thailand to the governing board of CIRCA. A pleasant good afternoon. Congratulations to your 48th year anniversary and academic forum with your theme on role of universities in addressing critical global issues. I was assigned to give a talk today covering the three topics: environmental changes, ecological imbalance, and food security. Food security go hand in hand with sustainable ecosystems that, if unwisely managed, will become more vulnerable to environmental changes. I will use this as the backdrop of my talk today, and taking the context of Southeast Asia, I will highlight the directions and roles of universities must play to achieve the development targets and ensure that food security aspirations are being met and will continue to be met in the future. Achieving food security in Southeast Asia amidst its growing population has been a continuing challenge, even more elusive by the onset of COVID-19 pandemic. I want to share to you our newly published paper that at Asian Journal for Agricultural Development just this June 2020. We wrote the paper on assessing the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on agricultural production in Southeast Asia towards transformative change in agricultural food systems. Disruption in agriculture food systems created supply and demand shock, affecting immediate and long-term economic performance and food security. as a whole. This COVID-19 pandemic resulted in 3.11% or more than 11 million tons of reduction in aggregate volume of production due to the decline in agricultural farm labor. This affects about more than 100 million people, especially our farmers. This would result in about 1.4 to 1.5 decrease in our gross domestic product of Southeast Asia, which is equivalent about 3.78 billion US dollars. That's our prediction. In the next slide, you can see that what we could show here is the different programs and initiatives across the supply chain in response to COVID-19. All these initiatives have been wide coverage, spanning the mobility restriction impact on farmers, processors, and investors, even distributors, due to lockdown and community quarantine. Some retailers may have experienced increase in food prices due to unpredictable markets. On the other hand, the COVID-19 had resulted a change in consumers' preference. People now start to eat more healthy food, vegetables, and all the like. That makes more food system more visible in this time of pandemic. In the next slide, COVID-19 has underscored really the connection between the supply chain and our consumption pattern. So we could see now the connection between the supply chain and our consumption patterns, and the urgent need to redefine agricultural system as food systems. Again, this redefines the agricultural systems into a food system. The COVID-19 crisis has also underscored the role of universities. This is where the role of the universities to produce graduates with a transformative mindset who can understand the growing complex social concerns and are able to affect positive change now and in the future. So we need to change the mindset of our graduates. In the next slide, I could say that COVID-19 pandemic compels the university to reflect on the following overarching question. We have to ask these questions. What are the major priority areas for research and in agriculture and its allied fields to accelerate transformation towards sustainable agricultural food systems? So what are our priorities? Second, how can the human capital of the universities, particularly through the research and academic initiatives, be strategically wielded so it can be fully maximized towards contributing to the solving of pressing social concerns, particularly COVID-19? The next question by the universities is, as our research funding and other resources will be limited, that is expected in the Philippines and the whole Southeast Asia, expect a reduce in research funding, what innovative solution could we put forward for universities to continue to enhance their capacity to knowledge generation? So this is the challenge. In the next slide, you will see that this is the proposed architecture of agricultural research themes and modalities. It is in place. But the higher education institution can further reorient the research and development from business perspective towards systemic change of the agricultural sector. This figure represents proposed key priority areas for research in agriculture and allied fields to accelerate transformation of the agriculture sector and strengthen its contribution to the socio-economic development, particularly towards resilience against the pandemic that we are experiencing. In the next slide, you can see that currently our universities we have expanded our role. And our role as a university is not only limited to research, instruction, or extension, but we have to extend it to solve the challenges of the global challenges. So these are some items. Universities are engines of social inclusions. Pandemic brought innovative ways of bringing people into learning environment. Collaborations created more accessibility and promote social inclusion. Universities' contribution to society is measured both by its impact on higher education and research and the extent to which it bridges social and cultural interactions between itself and community it aims to serve and improve. Next is universities have become key institutions for meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. This is very important. Global challenges that face humanity and the planet, quality of university engagement with both the immediate needs of local society and global challenges. In the next slide, two of the most vital tasks of the universities are addressing the disparity between the wealthiest and the poorest and crucially change balance between the planet and mankind. So there's really the balance between the planet and the mankind, where population growth and human activity have negatively influenced the livability or habitability of the earth, because we have to look at the environment, our planet, and also the needs of human. Universities and higher education systems can potentially lead the way in developing a sustainable and responsible pathway to address the current challenges in agriculture and rural development landscape. Universities should ensure that its offerings are relevant to the changing times. It should be flexible enough to delete, to revise, or institute new offering, not just to keep up with the current challenges and the community is facing, but also anticipate such complexities and emerging opportunities and threats. University can pursue public good through alignment of its interests with those of the society and work with other universities and partners to maximize their impact in working on common good. Universities can proactively ensure that sustainable development goals are included in the local agendas, proposing changes to education, conducting research, and engaging with local and global communities on sustainable development. We should expand our mandate. Universities can educate the current generation with necessary knowledge, skills, attitude, competencies, and partnership to help produce new sustainable development leaders. Universities can conduct cross-cutting reviews and refinement of curricula to ensure the mainstreaming of sustainable development goals, issues across curricula, and include new values and practices for economic development that enhance social equity with reducing environmental risks. In the next slide, you can see that universities, this is a continuation of the role of the universities. Universities can widen and extend access to and successful participation in higher education by serving the needs of an increasingly diverse students' interests, by adopting new organizational structures and pedagogical approaches, including online, open, and flexible learning that can help in forging the new sustainable development goals generation. Universities must put in place resilient education system that can provide students with access to continuous learning opportunities throughout unpredictable and disorganized period of disasters and recovery like what we are experiencing, whether caused by global health emergencies or natural disasters or whatever we have. In the next slide, I want to emphasize here how we could capitalize on research and development and innovation potentials of universities for agriculture, particularly in agriculture, which I know Kasetsart University is primarily an agricultural university, but you have expanded your role into a bigger university using other disciplines. But for agriculture, there is a need to support local capacity towards being self-sufficient through well-planned local food production systems. To have to look at the local food production system at the same time thinking globally. Basic research and policy supports are needed towards like development of new and relevant crop varieties and livestock breeds, seeds and livestock production and distribution technologies. These are the basic things where universities are expected to do. Agricultural system technologies like water management, pest and disease management, climate and weather forecasting, etc. Post-harvest management like drying, processing, storage, and other types of processing. Farm produce transport and the logistics system, the whole value chain. This is very important. Facilities support food quality, nutrition, and safe maintenance. This is now very critical. Safe maintenance, nutrition, food quality, and these are the cold chains that we are talking right now. And also we have to think about diversified farming as well as support livelihood to complement to that of the major crops and livestock produce. In the next slide, I hope I'll be finishing soon. Based on the still continuation on capitalizing on research for development and innovation potentials of universities, there is a need to support more studies on activities related to improving designs of financial technologies for farmers and encouraging wider participation of these financial systems like loans and credit systems and agricultural insurance facilities, among others. Financial tech is very important. Encourage more programs and budget allocation, as well as private sectors related initiatives related to agriculture, such as farm-based and small and medium enterprises. Need for a massive promotion of sustainable and responsible consumption pattern. So we have to be responsible in our consumption to make it sustainable, that provides strong signal for agricultural products that support and observe cleaner production, environmental conservation, and social inclusion. This is very important for universities to involve. In the next slide, I want to say that the growing interest in agriculture needs to be sustained with more targeted capacity building activities of relevant government agencies and groups to specially promote and generate more agripreneurs. We need a business-minded agriculture sector or farmers, agri-entrepreneurs. More studies to ensure the balance between trade priorities and food security goals, particularly under the tenets of ASEAN economic cooperation. There should be a cooperation. This is very important now. Cooperation, we have to encourage cooperation for our ASEAN partners and to have an effective coordination mechanisms among countries to reduce trade and food insecurity both at the national and the regional level. There should be a free trade. Everyone should be happy. Everyone should have food. In the next slide, I just want to say that this SHRCA, we have established Southeast Asia University Consortium for Graduate Education in Agriculture and Natural Resources. This is where SHRCA is as an enabler and partner of universities, which we advocate really the importance of agriculture, academe, industry, government interconnectivity. SHRCA established this University Council, University Consortium, where Kasetsart University is one of the founding members in 1989 to pursue agricultural human resource development in Southeast Asia by linking top agricultural universities in the region to facilitate free exchange of information, facilities, and expertise. This is where we are working together. We have also a strong academic, industry, government interconnectivity in this consortium that can strategically advance the university's curricular programs and research and development work, and establishing new processes from creation of new intellectual property to use to contribute towards social being. Now, in the next slide, I want to introduce our Emerging Innovation for Growth. This is the new department of Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, SHRCA, and we have this program on Innovates. I want to show you a slide or a video just to introduce to you, which is very in line with how we could make the change of mindset of our graduates and also our students. So I want to introduce this video on Innovates. Give us 3 minutes to have this video.
farmers as aligned with global goals focus on the contribution of agriculture to hunger and malnutrition eradication. Circa has embraced the rhythms of change with new, innovative practices to transform the lives of farmers and the agricultural industry. With its mission to elevate the quality of life of agricultural families through sustainable and resilient livelihoods, Circa steers agriculture from the traditional farming production towards an agribusiness perspective in a modern agriculture ecology by accelerating transformation through agricultural innovation to attain Agriculture 4.0. The Circa innovates model of open collaboration with academe industry government interconnectivity is a combination of independent but highly integrated component tool designed to attain sustainable development goals through Agriculture 4.0. A modern world transformed by innovative technologies, processes, and dynamics. The Circa innovates component tools include Index. As the research and information arm of projects powered by the Circa innovates model of open collaboration. Serves. Specialists and experts for rural viable emerging solutions that identify and implement innovative but practical solutions to persistent farming challenges. Ideates. Innovation competitions that focus on engaging the youth, children, students, and brilliant minds in promoting agri-innovation to modernize agriculture and build local rural innovation ecosystems. Blocks. Building linkages and open collaboration for knowledge systems is an innovative and open shared service hub promoting locally adaptable agri-technologies that can be adopted by small farmers and rural communities. A4 Life, Agriculture 4.0 livelihood integration towards farming enterprises for building local and community-based innovation ecosystems and inclusive agribusiness value chains to produce a generation of green startups and agripreneurs. And Space, the Southeast Asia platform to attain collaboration and empowerment for a powerful innovation and open collaboration gateway for agri-incubation and technology transfer information, programs, resources, and networks in the world where Circa operates. Powered by Circa Innovates Model, the Emerging Innovation for Growth, EIG, as the new program in Circa's 11th five-year plan steps out from old ways that are no longer farmer benefiting to attain Agriculture 4.0 under three focus areas, namely open collaboration and agri-incubation, knowledge and technology transfer tools, and project development monitoring and evaluation. Circa partners to usher farmers out of the belief that farming is limited to production as an agribusiness operating in a modern agriculture ecosystem for better, bigger, smarter impact to farmers and farming families.
Get involved, spread the word. Circa innovates. If you're connected with a group that supports agriculture for farming families, we invite you to collaborate with our academe, industry, government partnership for better, bigger, smarter innovations. Together, let's attain Agri 4.0. Okay, thank you for that video. Actually, that's part of Innovates program, which is under the program of Emerging Innovation for Growth. The program also intends to achieve several goals in support of inclusive agriculture and rural development, to strengthen university public agri-research and university-based agribusiness incubator to promote local inclusive innovation ecosystem. Also to provide platform and project for more effective and efficient prototyping, upscaling, and commercialization of technologies, and delivering impact-driven farming community assistance. To provide value-added services and assistance in promoting the agri-financial technology-based startup and in scaling up the existing agri-technologies and agri-enterprise. To advance knowledge, attitude, and skills of farming communities and startup through innovation and entrepreneurial mentoring and training, and of course, to build a coalition of support services from the key government institutions and other relevant stakeholders. In the next slide, you will see here that universities are where the inventions happen. The academy is where the inventions happen. When these technology generators, like the universities, are linked to the industry, market opens and opportunities for growth happens. Again, universities are where invention happens, partnering with the industry. The university partnering with the industries is when innovation happens. Innovation is the act of turning research results into revenues. That's where innovation happens, into economic and social gains. So again, with the complexity, as I mentioned, with the complexity of the challenges in agriculture and in our society, now we need to work together in partnership. We can't win with the problem. We can win with the problem, the present global problem, with just, I call it with just a Superman. We need the whole Justice League to solve the problem. We don't just need an Iron Man. We need a Nick Fury to assemble the Avengers. We don't need only individual heroes, but teammates, partners for better, bigger, smarter, normal. Together we will win. God bless Kasetsart University. God bless us all. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Gregorio. I open up for comments and questions. Thank you so much for such a creative and fascinating discussion about the work of CIRCA and the needs, these critical needs. Questions, comments, please. Okay, in that case, then I encourage people to contact and talk to each other offline or using the other communication systems. By the way, I do want to remind all of you yet again that the brochure, including the bios of all our speakers, was sent to you by email. There's a link for the email of connecting the brochure, which has our bios, and also in that same email, there was a link to some of the ceremonial, the cultural activities we had on campus in recognition and in honor of our 78th anniversary. So there's some of that. Finally, I want to suggest to each of you that if you want copies of slides or please contact the speaker directly, and I'm sure they'll be willing to share information, the slides with them. Is there any questions or comments? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Sir Glenn. I'm from the University of St. Louis, Tuguegarao, here in the Philippines. And just that universities today in the Philippines are really challenged to really bring out the students into the areas because as the COVID-19 is with us, we are not allowed to do anything face-to-face as of the moment. So what would be your suggestions on how universities can address this concern? No? Since March of last year up to the present time, government does not allow. And, if you want to teach sustainability, love for environment and all that, it has to be in the real world where the environment is. So if I may get your word on this, what would be your ideas? Thank you, Dr. Glenn.
Thank you very much for that question, a very challenging question. But what I could say is, university, this is the best time for university to start planning, develop your infrastructure, develop the skills of the teacher, because anytime now, as the vaccines are already in place, we will be slowly going back to the face-to-face or actual field experiments in especially agriculture and research. So what I suggest now is really for us to prepare infrastructure development. Sometimes we are paralyzed. Oh, we could not meet, we could not have face-to-face with our students, so we are just paralyzed. What we could do now is start planning, start preparing our laboratories, start preparing our field for the post-pandemic situation. So planning is very important right now. Don't be bogged down by the present pandemic, but be prepared. You could do the planning as what we are doing at Sherka, because anytime now it will open up. So our infrastructure, our internet, our conference areas, our buildings, our laboratories are ready for the students to come. So that's my advice for now.
Thank you very much.
Other comments, other questions? We're fine on time. So please, if you have questions or comments, it'd be just fine for us. Okay. Okay, in that case, I guess we will go forward to our panel session. The panel session is looking at the broader perspective on the future of global higher education. And it's asking some important questions, because we're aware that worldwide we are encountering critical global problems that are both caused by and leading to different kinds of disruptions. And so we asked the panels to focus on two specific questions. How can universities be more engaged in addressing critical global issues to better serve our students and society as a whole? And the second question, what strategies, policies, and plans have universities employed to integrate critical challenges into their learning and research? And so that's the focus. We have three panelists. Let me introduce them very quickly. And each will talk about 15 minutes each. And then at the end of all the 45 minutes, at the end of all three programs addresses, then we'll take questions and comments. So first will be Professor Juan Martin Maglione, who is the head of Artificial Intelligence SAI, and then Mr. Bo H. Holmgreen. He's the founder and executive director of the Scholars of Sustenance Foundation in Sweden. And then Associate Professor Dr. Larawan Puangchit, who is Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Kasetsart University. All right, first we'll start with Professor Juan Martin Maglione.
Yes. Hi,
yes,
Matthew. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I will share my screen and I will share my presentation. Okay. Thank you everyone for having me. I will try to be quick but accurate. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the future of global higher education. But first, I would like to analyze how a couple of industries evolved. Why did we evolve from this bank to this type of bank? How we translated from the physical to the digital world. Same happened with mail. Mail in 1930 was completely by paper, completely physical, but we evolved it into this. How we evolved from the telephone and we changed this into an asset like this, with a complete infrastructure and with a complete ecosystem that lives from this. And what is the common thing between these three different industries, these three different assets? One thing: technology and digitalization. This was the fundamental thing that made different industries and different assets evolve into things that can give us much better features and much better benefits. But wait a minute, where is education here? Unfortunately, education didn't change so much. If we see a picture from 1930 and we see a picture from 2019, we see that education is pretty similar. We are still teaching in the same way. And as a consequence of this, the pandemic, as someone mentioned today, is generating huge disadvantages, not just for one part of the world, but the entire world is suffering from this pandemic because we can't go at the speed that we would like. Just for you to have an idea, as of January, as of last week, 825 million learners were affected due to school closures. And this is not just one region. This is affecting 23 countries globally that still have schools, universities, and educational institutions closed. And 40 countries are implementing local closures. So we have 23 countries implemented national closures and 40 implemented local closures. Why this will impact us? This will impact us as educational institutions, universities, because less people will be graduated on time. So our demand will be critical. We will have less demand because less people are graduating from secondary school. I'm from a developing country. I'm from Argentina. And a lot of countries from Asia are still in development. And this is worse for us. Why? Because in developing countries, in low-income countries, countries with a low GDP, these numbers are worse. Just for you to have an idea, there's a gap of 52% of students that graduate from secondary school in countries with high income and with low income. So we need to scale this. We need to stop this. We need to find ways in which we can battle this challenge that we have. And the tools exist. The tools are already there. And they will also be a challenge for us. The best example for this is artificial intelligence. How this technology is democratizing knowledge. And this is how we need to think about this. And I'm going to be very practical about this, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples on how AI, artificial intelligence, is democratizing the knowledge to make it available for everyone. The easiest example for me to show this is an algorithm called BERT. It's a natural language processing algorithm that I will show how simple and how this will be a challenge for education in the future years, for university education. So let's see why this will be a challenge and why this is democratizing education. This algorithm has the capability of understanding paragraphs of text. So let's take, for example, Wikipedia as a paragraph, and let's send this paragraph to BERT, to this natural language processing algorithm. So we only give this short paragraph to this algorithm, and we can ask questions to it. So let's ask questions from that paragraph. For example, let's ask where Thailand is located. Let's ask what's Thailand's capital. And let's ask what type of government does Thailand has. this algorithm will pretty emulate concepts that we teach. A history professor could be working with these types of algorithms to have less effort and get the same results. So what the algorithm did, the algorithm read the information that I gave and answered the questions. Where is Thailand located? In the Chinese peninsula. Which is Thailand capital? Bangkok. And what type of government Thailand has? Constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. So we need to work with these tools because with very little information, they can answer the student questions. This is an example, only one example on how technology will be a huge challenge for us, but will also be a huge tool which we need to work with. And this is only one example, but we have several. Copy AI, we have GPT-3, we have several artificial intelligence technologies that we need to understand because they will be a future challenge for us as professors, but also they will be huge tools to work with. So if our artificial intelligence will be able to handle concepts, to avoid repetition, and to make us more efficient as teachers, as professors, where do we need to focus? So to answer that question, I created a framework on how we are working with Fontys University. I'm working with Maurice Coopers from the Netherlands, the first presenter, to work in these kinds of things. We need to focus our efforts in creating the future of education. And that future of education, it's basically focused in three main dimensions. We need to teach students to solve real problems, real world problems, to solve and find solutions for real world problems. We need to teach them how to deal with decision making, with data-driven decision making, and we need to generate safe environments to test, fail, and try again. And these three dimensions are problem-based learning, immersion, and simulation. This is the framework that we need to use to transform our subjects, to transform our programs, to be able to challenge the future. But also our institutions need to transform. Our institutions need to reshape in some way in several dimensions. And we are going to cover this in a very high level, but we need to generate tech partnerships and establish technology as the base of our transformation, to digitalize students, to digitalize teachers and professors, and to digitalize staff from our university. And why do we need to do this? First of all, we need to digitalize students to generate a community, a digital community. We are in need of a digital community because we can't have a physical community now. So we need to transform our community from the physical world and take it to the digital world. And there are a lot of tools to make that. But we need, the tech partnerships are a key step to have relationship with tech companies that can give us those tools to generate a community in an easier and cheaper way. Our students are already in those communities. We need to be on those communities, to be where the students are. We need to transform our methods. Our methods are still old school. We need to go into shorter programs, into video formats, into live streaming formats. We need to be, and we need to do what they like to consume. They like YouTube, we need to be similar to YouTube. They like Snapchat, we need to be similar to Snapchat. They like Instagram. We need to be similar to Instagram. We need to change our methodology of teaching, shortening the programs, shortening the amount, but being more deeper into the topics that they are interested and the topics that would generate the future jobs. And we need to be more efficient as universities. We are not using the tools that will make us more efficient. We need to automate our operations. We need to scale to be present in more students. We need to scale our programs to be global. We need to partner between universities to generate opportunities of scale. And the only way to do this is going digital. Once we can create a community, change our method, and make our operation more efficient, we will be able to change our business model. Let's pay attention to something. If we do not change our business model, we are going to lose a great battle, that it's the digital battle. Today, a lot of content is free on the internet. So we need to adapt to a business model that can battle to that free ecosystem that exists or take advantage of it. So these are some key dimensions that I want you to think about, how we can improve this in your universities, in our universities, to scale and to be prepared for the future. I will leave some conclusions here, but we have several gaps that we need to tackle very quickly. We have a perspective gap that we need to tackle. We need to change when and where education is happening, because students want to learn not just in the morning, not just in the afternoon. Perhaps they want to learn at night. So we need to change the way where we think that learning needs to happen. We need to translate from the physical to the digital. We need to transform our capabilities. Not just students need to transform. We need to transform as professors. So we need to learn. We need to teach the skills that are demanded in the market. Not the ones that we know, the ones that we are demanded from companies. We need to be more agile. We need to be agile to transform the universities. We need to be agile to transform our programs. We need to be agile to transform ourselves. We need to grow. We need to educate as professors to be more agile to change. We need to close the connectivity gap. We are still in low levels of connectivity in some countries. South America, Asia, Central America, we are still in low connectivity gaps. And if we want to go to a digital world, we need to close that gap and give the possibility for everyone to be connected in our classes. And for that, we need internet. We need the network. We need infrastructure. We need hardware. So we need to find the right partnerships to close that gap, because that's an expensive gap. We need to have the tools, not just for the students, but also for our staff. So this is why partnerships with technology companies is so important, because generating partnerships will make us easier to acquire these tools. So these are some things that I want you to keep in mind. I just want you to inspire and to think what we can do in the short term to close these gaps and generate a much better future for students and professors. Thank you, and thank you, Matthew.
Well, thank you very much, Professor. We'll be back in touch, but let's go next to Mr. Bo Holmgreen for the Scholars of Substance Foundation, Sustenance Foundation, sorry.
Yes, I trust you can hear me.
Ken.
Good. And there's my slides, but I promise I'm not going to use it so much. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Scholars for Sustenance, but more about the problem. Before I do that, I'm going to hold up this Danish guy, because you said I was from Sweden. And, you know, we have friendly competition between Sweden and Denmark. So. But it really doesn't matter where you come from, because it is what we do.
Professor, I'm being told that the sound is low level and a little bit scratchy. Is there something going on there?
I don't know. Is this going to be any better if I speak straight into the microphone?
Better, much better.
Much better. Okay. All right. Good. Glad you said it. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the international language. We are here to talk about international university and students and what students can do. The best thing is that we all speak one language in this world, right? I should have started by saying Saudi Krab, and thank you for having me. Happy 78th year, by the way. Gosh, I feel like 78 because of COVID. But I think numbers is the international language that we all speak. And that is why I'm going to focus a little bit on it, because we as an NGO is extremely focused on numbers. So we can talk a bit about mission, vision, and all this stuff. That will become clear. I think most of you know that Scholars of Sustenance, or SOS, is a food rescue organization. And we started out with some very, very good environmental intentions. And I think our journey can maybe illustrate a little bit about these international challenges. Statistics is easy, right? You've heard it before. A third of all the food in the world goes to waste and so on. For Thailand in particular, 64% of all waste going to landfills is food waste. That is why we came to Thailand, also because basically we realized that there were more people going from poverty to middle class in Thailand, and that means that all these middle class people are now throwing away as much food as before. So to complete the cycle, we need to capture it. However, if there's only one thing you remember from this conversation, one set of numbers, it is this, the 1071. Because that highlights what this problem is all about. It's not really just food waste, it's a little more sophisticated. We are 7 billion people in this world. We're getting close to 7.8 billion, so I think we need to update this to 1081, but you know, we're over 7 billion people in this world. And the world every day produces enough food, even during COVID, for 10 billion people. So there should be enough for all of us. Yet 1 billion of us goes to bed hungry every night. So something is not right. You could also mention that 1 billion of us are obese, but that's besides the point. The fact that 1 billion goes to bed hungry every night means that we have a distribution problem, more so than any other kind of problem. And I think we have to focus on how to overcome these very basic problems, a distribution problem like this. So we set out years ago in SOS to do something, and I'll tell the personal story. I was sitting, because it happened in Bangkok, I was sitting in a hotel in Bangkok on the top floor in a lounge, and from 5 to 7 they had happy hour, and 5 minutes to 7 they came and carried all this beautiful food out and threw it in the trash, and I was totally dismayed. So I asked what happened to it, and they said, of course, it goes in the trash. And I say, but I can see the trash container on the parking lot from here. So is that where it goes? Yes, sir. But I can also see on the other side of the wall, there are some people who could probably do very good with that food. Don't they crawl over and get it from the container? No, of course, sir. We have security with guns. And that put it all into such a perspective that we have to lift these things out of one logistics system into another. Because when I approached some of the hotels and said, can we get your food and give it to the poor? They said, no way. I mean, I don't know if you're going to poison people or what you may do, right? So we went on a long journey, basically, to make all this happen. And we started in Thailand in 2016. And it took us a long time to prove the concept and get past the basics. And then we went to Indonesia, which is the second biggest the second biggest food waster in the world, and of course a very large country. Where I'm sitting right now, by the way, I'm stuck in Bali, not the worst place to be. Since then we opened up in Phuket, and just in last year we opened up in Hua Hin. Now, what is it that we have to address here? Right, 64% of all of it going to the landfills and so on. Well, Asia is different. If I was to save a steak in New York and take it down on the street corner, it would not have the same impact as when we save it and take it to villages and slums and so on in Asia. And the other thing is that most of the 1/3 of the food waste that you saw on slide 1 in Europe, in America, is wasted by individuals, by homes, not so in Asia. So that is why we have been focusing entirely on going after commercial entities, hotels, retailers, and others where there is a necessary food waste. Nobody wants to waste food. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go into all the 6 food programs. I'm going to keep it very simple. We have basically started a foundation to do what we called optimization. And optimization has to do with simply taking good edible food every single day, put it through the ringer very quick, inspect it, make sure that what we serve is good, and get it out to the needy the same day. And we have hotels that gave us incredible amounts of food before COVID. The biggest hotel in Southeast Asia, Marriott Marquis, right there in Bangkok, has been incredibly generous. And we ended up with about 100 hotels giving us food, tons of edible food every day that we could take to many different communities. And then, like the rest of the world, we got hit by COVID, right? About half our food came from retailers. That dropped by a whopping 3%, but the hotel food that we got dropped by 100%, right? Dropped to 0. And that has been a major disaster. So like every other company right now, we've had to totally re-innovate, reinvent ourselves and adapt to this. So you don't need to know the details here about how food rescue works, but it is just a matter of we set out to rescue food and get surplus foods from all the commercial entities. When everything changed, we had to talk to other people. Now we have manufacturers, milk manufacturers. We have large companies like Nestle and Arnott and Pies and so on. A lot of people are giving us incredible amounts of food, and we are so grateful for that. So food rescue is still very much alive. And number 2, then, adaptation. Well, because of the lack of food temporarily, we had to dig deep in our coffers and simply go out and buy ingredients. And we have set up community kitchens all over, and it has been amazing how much we have been able to cook based on donated foods and get out to people. So very quickly we had to readapt to all that. Now our trucks and our capabilities and so on, we can talk about that. I think the most impressive thing as we are talking about numbers, and again, numbers is the focus here, right? During COVID, we have, between the 2 countries, served almost 6 million meals to the needy. And in general, since inception, we are almost at 10 million meals. So you can see the last year, we exploded in getting all this happening. So between expanding to different places and so on, we have done amazing things. And I can only say good staff, 50+ people, all on salary, very, very hardworking. And then a very sound business approach to run an NGO as a non-profit, but still run it as a business, has taken us a long way. So what is it that we are going to do here? Are we just going to feed people? Because really, shouldn't the government be doing that? So we have a 3-step program, and the second step is to introduce sustainability into it, which is helping families lift themselves out of poverty in the villages and slums. And the long-term goal is to work with all the food industry stakeholders to get to the point where we can change access to good nutrition. We call it food equity. It basically means equal access to food no matter what. You hear people, for instance, talking about internet for everybody, and I think that's great. But before we get internet to everybody, we really need to get good nutrition to everybody. So this is what we have been spending our cycles on and still do every single day. But I think the impact is measurable. And when you ask the question, what can universities do? I have to say that the generations of new students, new people that we hire now are so impressive. You know, in my generation, growing up in Denmark and so on, yes, well, it was about finding a job and setting up a family and so on. The kids nowadays have a different way of looking at things. They can actually spell the word sustainability. And they have a different way of looking at it. Yes, of course, they want to make money. Of course, they want to grow their careers and so on. But there is a deeper sense of society. And I think any university should be able to use the resources for identifying problems like this one. The food distribution problem, for instance, is an obvious problem, but somebody needs to identify it, somebody needs to quantify all the data behind it, and somebody probably needs to come up with a solution, as well as working with governments and so on. For instance, if we could get the governments in the countries we operate in to allow a CO2 deduction, a tax deduction, so that a hotel that gives us food, and we can quantify precisely how many kilos of CO2 we take out of the atmosphere by it not going to the landfill. And you know, if we could quantify that, give them a certificate, and they would have a tax benefit, well, everybody would benefit from it. So those are some of the things that I think universities can do. And now you know what SOS is all about. So I'll end there. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much, Mr. Holmgren, for such a stirring conversation. These are some issues that I wasn't aware of. So I appreciate it myself very much for this presentation. And now, Dr. Ladawan from Kasetsart University.
Okay, right. Okay, I am Shamai Park from Kasetsart University, and I'm part of the organizing team of this forum today. I'm particularly keen on all the problems addressed, the health problems, cyber security, and also food and environment. So I'm wondering whether the newly designed curricula that you are talking about, both Dr. Ladawan and Dr. Morris, how fast can it help tackle all the critical problems that we are facing now? Because we seem to have newer problems year by year in the world.
I didn't understand the question. Sorry.
Well, it seems that we have new problems like every now and again. Like this year, we have tackling with COVID-19, and we have cyber crime security. We have like food distribution problems that Mr. Bo Holmgren talked about. So I'm wondering how fast that the new kind of education that then integration of different disciplines can urgently help tackle the world's problem. Yeah, because we seem to have a lot of problems. Yeah.
I think there is no way back. I think in this way, I think the development of flexible programs like Dr. Ladawan is creating personalized, fitting to the generation what is now growing up, but also for all the disruptions we see in the world, it is necessary to have a very flexible way of education. And I think in this way, that module way of thinking it's one of the things I'm sure. And the online, what is Guan also referring to, that kind of platforms, the artificial intelligence, and that kind of aspects are very major now and important to use in education. So if you design new education, then you should be aware for whom you are creating it. And that's, I think, my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dr. Ladwan, maybe you can, because you're an expert.
I agree. I think for modular approach is more flexible. So I think this can cope with the changing faster than a whole curriculum.
It is resilient for this kind of disruptions. If you have created a kind of blended online, but you should create the modules in one way that it is for everybody accessible, and that's a trick, and that's the tricky part of modules. Most people do it online or next to it face to face, but you should on the same moment try to create, and the participants are online, face to face, blended, doesn't matter.
I guess we're coming to the end of our time together, and I'll invite Dr. John Rock to make some final comments. He has some summing up and some final comments he'd like to make as a closing for the forum.
Chancellors, the Vice Chancellor, the President, the rectors from participating universities and the participants from this online forum. So good afternoon to you all. It's my pleasure to provide closing remark for the KU Online Academic Forum in celebration of the 78th anniversary of Kasetsart University under the theme, "We are the greatly disappointed and frustrated that COVID-19 has instigated massive disruption, forced closure in education, and caused widespread unemployment for many businesses. The pandemic has heightened our awareness of several critical global issues and challenges that our institution and each individual must confront going forward. The forum has achieved its objective to provide a platform for thoughtful discussion and the active exchange of the ideas. Going forward, our mission is to translate these insights and good ideas into effective action plans. So KU also we do this. It's clear that the primary role of university is to provide leadership and to collaborate together as we develop effective strategy to better prepare our students and confront these challenges in way that best serve the global communities. On behalf of Kasetsart Universities, I would like to again express my sincere thanks to the parties who have contributed tremendously to this successful online academic forum. I especially wish to recognize and again thank the speakers from the Netherlands, Taiwan, Philippines, and also Thailand. We benefit greatly from our alliance with impressive partners throughout the world. Finally, I would like to extend my sincere wish to all of you for safety and security as we continue to find solutions that we resolve the pandemics. It is my strongest wish that we can use the experience to create strategies for the bright futures. Thank you very much for your kind participation. ขอบคุณครับ
Well, thank you so much. This has been a very quick, the time went so fast. Two more housekeeping things. One is that I think a link has been sent to you to fill out an evaluation form. Appreciate that. And then also, this is a forum we do every year. And so recommendations of topics and that we can discuss together in a forum such as this with our partners, our dear partners. Those are suggestions that we welcome. So those are the end of that is the end of our session. So thank you so very much. I'll say goodbye, Saudi Krap, and hope to meet you in person sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.